What's up, guys? This is Carter Thomas with Coin Mastery TV. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell right below this. We're doing a quick abbreviated Monday video. I have to head down to Los Angeles for a speaking event, which I'm excited about. So we're going to run through what's going on right now in the markets, a little bit about what I see happening from a macro standpoint, and then a couple quick announcements about some things you can check out. And then tomorrow afternoon when I get back, we'll be back to normal with a little bit longer. So hope you had a great weekend. And we kind of had a fake, not really a dead cat bounce, but kind of like a fake out. I'm looking at the 4 hour right now. Over the weekend, we had a bit of a bull run. And you could see that we are consistently testing this retracement line, which I guess is the 50% retracement on Bitcoin charts. And that's just, we've talked about this for the last week and a half now, where this is really the next big move in terms of Bitcoin making its way out. So like I talked about, when there's this many factors going on, when there's this many things happening, when there's hacks, there's tether rumors, there's ICOs, there's all these different things going on, it's always difficult to be able to parse out the exact reason, which is why you often just want to go back to the price and volume. It boils down everything. And so this is really the thing I've been looking at most recently, because that to me is the big deal. And now what happens is once we get through that line, or if we have to go down first and then break through it, we'll have to go kind of make our way through this retracement area too. So nothing too crazy on the Bitcoin side, other than just I think people are getting a little crazy about this, right? They're getting a little antsy, trying to. I see these comments coming through more and more on all the social networks about people saying, "Oh, crypto's been boring lately," or whatever, and that's always a very good data point that you can see in the charts. You know, people want that actually, they want that volatility. Now, over on Ethereum side, we actually did see a short-lived run, a very brief but powerful bull run that happened over the course of about 18 hours or so. And we're seeing a bit of a pullback here, but you can almost see the cup forming, and we'll see if that ends up forming a cup and handle over here. But Ethereum has had a very good 2018 thus far, and I think it's going to continue to have a really good one. One, because a lot of ICOs and tokens are coming out that are going to use the Ethereum blockchain, which is always very helpful from not only a usage standpoint, but from you got to buy Ethereum to buy these tokens. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy in that sense. And some people would say it's something worse than that, but whatever it is, it's a protocol that's being used a lot. And Ethereum seems to be figuring out a bit more about scaling. Obviously, Bitcoin's big news is going to be Lightning Network as they roll that out. Ethereum's got to figure this out too with things like Raiden and Casper and sharding and all the things that are going to help Ethereum scale. And we've talked about this before. We'll continue to talk about this. The protocol that's going to win, the protocols that win, I should say, are going to be the ones that can scale the best. Now, the ones that can scale and stay decentralized are going to be really big winners. Maybe that's Bitcoin on Lightning. Maybe that's Ethereum. Maybe they just do what they do, and then there's more of a centralized network that does payments, like Stellar or even Ripple. I hate to say that, but I'm much more of a Stellar. Stellar is a better. It's kind of like in the middle between like fully decentralized and centralized. It's more of like a consensus node system. So that's the thing to watch with Ethereum is the use cases, I should say, and how they're doing on their scaling debate. You can check out things like Raiden and Casper, both as privacy and security, which are really those are the two big things that are happening. Now, along those same lines, from a macro standpoint, you can see with Neo, and you're going to see this with Qtum as well, and maybe even with Stratus, if they can figure out their ICO platforms. Icon's trying to do this, where they're releasing new dApps, where they kind of become a protocol that actually houses new apps on top of it, right? They have usage on top of it. And you're going to see this with these protocols as they get people buying the protocol to feed into the ICOs and or start using the apps on top of them. Now, a lot of the apps, the usage isn't going to drive the price as much because of a lot of off-chain stuff, but that's a really interesting trend that I've been looking at. Things like Neo, Qtum, Stratus. You can go down the market cap, and I mean, Stellar is a good one with the Mobius. Like, I participated in the Mobius ICO simply because I wanted to support Stellar's platform and like help that ecosystem work out. So there's a lot you can see and glean from these protocols. That's what makes a protocol win. So you got to have apps on top of it. Icon's making news. They're releasing a bunch of new apps. WanChain's supposed to have a similar situation. I do not own any WanChain. I own a little bit of Icon, but those are some to watch as well. All these protocols are really the name of the game, and at some point, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or Neo or whoever it is, maybe it's Cardano, whoever, EOS, whoever, when the big next surge is going to be driven by that, by usage, by whatever the usage is, by the transaction volume being implemented. Maybe that's getting applied to a huge platform, right? Maybe Neo goes on, I don't know, like Alibaba or something. I mean, I'm not saying it will, but like something like that to really drive massive transactions. So that's what's happening. Now, on the other side of the macro coin, you guys know I look at Cointelegraph. I'm not saying this is the best news source by any means, but it is a good roll-up. And more importantly, it's a good indicator of the headlines people are reading. People read headlines. That's typically what happens. If you look through the front page of this morning, I mean, it's just all bad news, or at least like kind of somber, dire news, right? Things getting hacked, regulations coming, things, scary world, people getting, it's just bad across the board. And I think that not only is it because this stuff is happening, but it's because this is the kind of stuff that reflects what people are going to click on, right? That bakes into boredom, is that if people are trying to point to reasons why, we're not making 100% a day or whatever, right? This starts to feed that fear in a lot of ways. And I think that this also really bakes into this macro idea that I've been really thinking about, working on a lot, is the difficulty of the ecosystem is getting more and more difficult. It will continue to. It's more competitive than it's ever been, and it'll continue to be. Now, the amount of money and returns people can get over the next 10 years is bigger than it's ever been. It'll continue to be bigger, but it's going to be harder. And I think that that's where you're going to start to weed out people that, instead of saying, okay, well, I've got to get better, they start to look at reasons why it's not as good as it used to be, or it's not as easy as it used to be, or, this is BS, I'm going to blame this person, or whatever it may be. And that's really important. And I'll get into this more this week when I have a little more time, but it's really important that you don't fall into that trap. You don't start romanticizing the past and talking about how good 2017 was and how hard it was in 2018 and 19. That is the worst attitude you can have. The opportunities are still massive. You just got to adapt. You got to get better. You got to go to events. You got to meet people. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to do what other people are not willing to do. That's how you're going to get the big returns. Okay. Otherwise, everybody else is going to sit around and talk about how boring it is and how they're getting screwed and how this isn't fair or whatever. And this is not going to help you out. Okay. And I'm saying that because I've done that. I've been there. I know what that feels like. And from experience, I could tell you it gets you nowhere. And I would just encourage you to stay on top of it. So one thing I want to do over the next couple of weeks is I want to just show you a lot of what I'm doing with research, show you some of the conversations I'm having, introduce you to some of the teams I'm having conversations with, and just show you some of the ways that you can step up if you want and get better, or get stronger, faster, smarter, whatever. I can't promise anything is going to happen. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing as I do with this channel, so that you can separate yourself from the pack and potentially get better deals, better info, better returns. So that's just something I'm seeing, and you got to be conscious of this stuff. sneaks up on you and you start to be like, oh man, what happened? And that's why. Last thing I'll say, a lot of people have been asking me about this. And so I finally got this up and running over the weekend. If you go to coinmastery.com/store, this is where I'm going to put books up that I have found really interesting. Honestly, this was like about 20 minutes. I just ran through and put a bunch up of books that I've read recently or in the last, I'd say, year and a half that have been great. I will continue to add to this. Also, like a couple things for the podcast if you're interested in Red Bull. So go check this out. I'll if I add anything, I'll let you guys know. But people have been asking me about books and stuff, so put it there. Also, if you ever want to follow me on Instagram, especially for these live events, I do a lot of like stories with people that I meet. Can hopefully get you some good info, some kind of access to some of these top crypto people, some of the founders, influencers, entrepreneurs might be helpful. So, that might be something to check out. So anyway, I got to run. As always, guys, it's fun to be back, and I will be back tomorrow, probably in the afternoon. So if you're in Europe, probably the morning following, and I will catch you guys later. All right, peace out.